streaming button. Okay, we are starting to go. Yes. Okay, and we.
Oh, we gotta ask them the question. I think they'll say yes.
Oh,
sure.
oh, that's right.
I don't know.
Are you okay with being a misfit and an outcast and a renegade for being good and doing good?
Yeah.
You guys okay with being?
I think they've put a
that
stone on that, and
renegades for being good and doing good.
I mean, anyone's walking.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure we come up here.
I cringe for your feet.
Okay, people, we are.
I cringe for your feet.
Ooh, look at these guys! I got a pedicure yesterday.
Oh hey,
Yeah, thanks to Katrina over there.
Yeah, I paid for
mine.
Right.
I got facial because of
wow.
I've never had
Was it getting pampered?
Nice. I'm waiting for my facial.
Nice.
Need it.
Okay, we are hitting go live. Go live. You can reach more people. Oh crap! I forgot to add a title, which is this right here. Wow. Oh, am I? Oh no! Don't tell me.
It was going.
Battery's out.
I saw it. I did see it.
Okay, it's. We just gotta last through the show. Come on, you can do this.
What kind of batteries you got, Bobby? Triple A?
Triple, double.
Double, triple.
Some double dribbles?
Double, triple, double, double. Double, double.
Could I
batteries.
snag one of those Altoids?
Dude, yeah, that's why they're here, man.
My man. I have double triple A's in the car if you want to run to the vehicle.
No, it looks like it's working. Maybe it'll last long enough for me to hit go live. I think.
There we go. There we go.
James on?
Go live. Booyah!
Right on.
Oh gosh, there's no turning back now. Okay, people. We will be starting the show in 1.2 minutes.
1.2.
Well,
What is
we gotta let people start coming in.
Come on in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we are.
Come on in.
And I need to share.
The water's good.
Share via. No. More options. Share to groups.
Share to groups. Do you guys have groups? You?
Yeah. Do you want us to share
do.
to any groups? But we probably have to be a part of that group.
Oh, you might have to. We have the Walk for Peace 2020 page on Facebook. It's at Walk for Peace 2020. And then we have a Walk for Peace 2020.
Are you a part of that? You can share it.
Should be. I watch you guys every day. Well, almost when you're not on.
Mm-hmm.
When we're not what?
When we're doing stuff.
When they're not live.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna share.
Walk for.
Share now. Share to story.
Walk for Peace.
More options.
Mm-hmm. Walk for Peace 2020.
Share to group. Okay.
And there's a group and a page. I think the group is...
Utah.
Can you search the group, James?
Can I search
Speak up.
it?
Are
Yeah.
they able to search the group? Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Peak
No,
podcast
like-
community. What? Hobby hustle. I'm just looking for places to share. Where we will be starting the show in maybe 30 seconds. What was the name of it?
Walk for Peace 2020. It's at Walk for Peace 2020.
Oh, there I am. Wow, you guys are fast.
Are you sharing it?
Hey. Oh, hey, it caught. Good. I didn't know if it had posted. Fantastic.
Is that the one that Violet just posted right now?
Okay. It is Retai.
Nice.
We ready for the show, people? This is off the hip. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Biz for Good Show, where we highlight misfits, outcasts, and renegades for the being good and doing good movement. We spotlight people that are changing the world by having integrity and honesty and creating an environment of connection, thus showing the true secret to success and creating a life of greater impact. So come on board and create your own Biz for Good life.
Welcome to the Biz for Good show. I am your host, Bobby Glenn James, along with in the house, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Pilkington, the Ryan Pilkington in the house for the Biz for Good show. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. We have a rock star show today. This is the epitome of the Biz for Good. The whole reason we're doing this, right, Ryan?
Right, Ryan.
Right, Ryan. And we have an audience. Hey, say hello, audience. You. Oh, wow, that was cool. A fake audience with the real audience. So cool. Oh, my gosh. Ryan, I am so super excited about the show today. Tell us about the show. Get the Ryanness all over us.
Whoa. All right. I don't think they can handle.
They can't handle the Ryan. All of the pickle.
So I don't even know where to start. All I know is these people are awesome and amazing, and I'm just so glad they're here. So Walk for Peace 2020, we have James Allen Thompson and Paul Chavez here in the studio with us, and they've been walking for peace. They started in June.
Blisters on their feet and all. Of course, they got some pedicures. They got the blisters cleaned off, and they're ready to hit it again here.
So they just hit Utah sometime soon, recently, apparently. So they're here. So anyways, so Walk for Peace 2020, we are so excited to have them here and in studio.
And we're going to have you guys, instead of doing a bio and all the crap we usually do, we're just going to have you guys talk about yourself for a second and give us a heads up who you are, why you're doing it, whatever you want to say just really quickly off the top before we get to cool stories and all that, because I know you guys just in the walk from California to Nevada, you got some amazing stories. At least that's what we've been following you, of course. We just are so excited about what you're doing, why you're doing it. So let's turn the time over to you guys.
Right on. So Katrina Dobieski is also joining us. She's mic'd in.
She could wave right there.
Okay. You see my manicure. There we go.
But we're walking for peace. We started June 24th. We're not quite in Utah. That would have been amazing if we'd made it by now. That was the plan. But we ended in Lund, Nevada on yesterday morning, August the 12th. We're up Sawmill Canyon, just up from Lund, and we're walking for peace. We're walking for acceptance. We're walking for kindness, and we're really just our focus here is, the world was freaking crazy. The world was nuts when we set out for this. It was June 2nd, Blackout Tuesday. There are riots on the streets. There's the fires all over the different cities in the country. And people were posting these blackout screens, and James is like, dude, what the heck? Like, this is so dumb. These blackout screens on Instagram. I mean, it's signaling. It's like, hey, I'm standing with this movement. But I was like, dude, he said there's got to be more that we can do. And so we start brainstorming. We had been listening to meditation music, and we did a workout that morning, and so we're all firing on all the cylinders kind of thing. And I was like, dude, what if we walk for peace across America? And James is like, boom, yes, let's do it, like instantly, like within 5 seconds. And we just both got really excited, and it just all started from there.
And how did you guys meet?
So we met.
Who are you?
Yeah,
who are you?
Sorry.
Who are you, people?
Yeah.
Who are you, Paul?
James, go for it.
So what do you want to know about me?
Who is James Allen Thompson?
Put you on a portfolio here.
Well, first of all, this is my third time being on.
Oh, oh my gosh, we didn't even acknowledge that. This is the longest running guest that we've had for times. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
awesome.
Anyway, you've been here 3
Welcome
times.
back.
This is your 3rd time. Amazing. And the last time I think was like a year and a half ago or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so maybe I'll just share what I was doing before the walk. I was working as a copywriter, marketing consultant. So a big part of my job was storytelling and writing stories. And I also worked as a chef on the side. So I was catering private events, and actually that's what I'm doing out here in Utah, is catering my brother's wedding.
Nice.
Cool.
How about you, Sir Paul?
So
If I can call you Sir Paul.
You've been knighted.
do I look in the camera, by the way, or should I look at you?
Wherever you want.
Whatever you want.
All right.
The guests are just along for the show, so you do whatever makes you comfortable.
Look deeply into his eyes. When you
Katrina likes that. No.
Spirit to spirit.
there you go. Really connect.
It's hard to do that with a camera.
It's tough. I grew up in San Francisco, California. Big Giants fan. Luckily, Katrina, she's a big Giants fan as well.
I've worn the hat maybe twice. I'm an Angels fan because we know what happened in 2002, right?
It was a rough year.
Never forget.
So I grew up there. I moved when I was 14. I moved to Concord. Lived there until I was 22. Moved to Utah when I was 22. Just dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety. I was also, struggled with suicidal ideation at a young age, bullying, and just self-doubt, self-deprecation, really low self-esteem. I was addicted to video games, in high school. And I was ready to kill myself probably several times between 16 and 22. And then moving to Utah was probably one of the best things for me. Just getting out of the house, getting my own apartment, moving in with roommates, and learning. If for me, it felt like graduating from a little clucking chicken to a a soaring eagle.
Ooh.
Kind of a thing, So I worked off and on in restaurants for 8 or 9 years, serving tables at Sizzler, Spaghetti Factory, Tucanos, different places. Myrtle Rose, James and I worked together. Worked at Tucanos together. We've had I think 8 jobs in common at this point. We've had quite a history. Done a lot of door-to-door sales. I've done 5 seasons of door-to-door sales, selling pest control and Dish Network. And recently I've taught 2 full years of U.S. history and U.S. government, as well as 6 months of substitute teaching with James, once again. We both subbed at the same time. Honestly, after this last year, I love my students. I love the school, Crestview Preparatory, Phoenix, Arizona. Shout out to you guys if any of y'all hear this. God bless you. Had a great mentor in John Cronstead and in Tony Holland, Paul Van Dyne, and several other people. Just a really awesome staff there. But I realized towards the end of the year that teaching was just kicking my ass, and I'm ready to move forward and transition into something else. And so that's when James and I took this road trip, right, from Phoenix to Northern California.
So we had met actually about 9 years ago at UVU. I was involved in student government, and I believe Paul was too, and that's how we had first connected.
So you've been friends for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Close friends. I mean, sounds like you guys have done a lot of stuff together.
A lot of road
you
trips,
got this mindset together. You kind of, that's, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, friends are important. So who is this person in the corner that unfortunately we don't have a camera for?
We're still trying to figure that out.
Talking magical thing.
Popped up in Yosemite one time, and we're like, who are you?
Hey, I'm Katrina, and hey, can you see me? Awesome.
We can just leave it there.
It's Ryan Pilkington? That's weird.
Well,
So I met the guys actually earlier this year. Violet, my roommate and lovely audience member, is also here. And we just had a hankering come January, we'd been kind of reclusive, and we like our life and we like it really isolated. But, let's make friends this year. Let's do something in 2020 where we actually talk to people. So we threw a bunch of parties, got to know people. James showed up at one of the events, and then he was like, hey, I'm also a personal chef. I'm like, well, you can't say that and not personally cook for us. So brought him over. He made us curry.
We all became cook for you.
Really, he's excellent.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of food.
You would love James. You should travel with James.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So he came over and made us food. We all became friends. We met Paul through him, and then we're all kind of hanging out, and I heard about their project, and I was like, well, that's really good for you guys. Really good that you want to do that thing, and I will support you from home. I called him, I can help with social media from the comfort of my home, and you all do what you do. And then I woke up one morning, it was the next morning, I was like, water in the desert, like how in the world are they going to cross Nevada for 2 weeks, like drinking a gallon a day? So I thought, well, if someone doesn't go with them, they might die. And so I figured I could take some time off and maybe help out. And
so you're in the support vehicle?
Support vehicle, yeah. I've done a bit of walking with him, but mostly support. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
She like cooks us lunch, breakfast, dinner. She helps us with laundry. She gets the groceries for us. She's amazing. Hand massages.
That goes both ways. Yeah.
I think we all need a support vehicle.
we do. You know,
get me one of those support vehicles.
You know, I've said if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. We don't do anything great alone. And the people that we love and connect with is what makes change and what makes things really great and powerful. And to see the connection and the spirit that you guys have for what you're doing and how much you believe in it and care about it. We were talking about it before, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff in the world right now, but there are still a lot of great people in this world doing great things like you guys, and we need to focus on that because it's hard right now. I mean, the last 4 months, it's hard to see good things in the world, and we need more people standing up and saying, listen, we as a human race are good, and there's a lot more good people in the world than bad.
That's right. You know, one of the things I wrote on the wall here is live your purpose, and I believe each person...
A year and a half ago.
That's right, yeah.
Wow.
Each person has come to this earth with unique talents and abilities to share goodness, right? To bring goodness to the world, and so that's what we're trying to do. Each of us have our own strengths. You know, mine happens to be storytelling and writing, and so I want to be able to use my talents to inspire the world, right? And same with Paul. Paul has this ability to communicate and inspire people, and he has the strength, and he's able to carry us through the desert. So it's been awesome.
Kicking and screaming.
Kicking and screaming. Well, tell us about that. I mean, so how has the experience been? I mean, you've been on the road. How many days you've been walking? How many days now?
Today is day 51, I believe, officially.
51.
It might be 52, actually.
52.
And how long do you think this is going to take? You guys got any ideas now that you've been walking for 50 days?
Yes, we have doing the math. So our goal initially was 15 miles a day. In the first like 48 days, we averaged 11 miles a day. Part of it was Yosemite, part of it was blisters, and part of it was
mountain lions, wild horses.
Wild horses are a thing.
Spoiler.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
The unexpected desert of Nevada. So we're shooting now for 17 miles on average every single day, and so if we do that, we have 144 days left of hiking. Not to include days where we take off for like Rob and Angela getting married. James' brother Rob, a good friend of mine, and you know, and we have we're planning to do a kindness day this upcoming Monday, August 17th. From 2 p.m. until 8 p.m.
That's here in Salt Lake City.
Liberty Park, yeah.
Liberty Park.
Yep, northeast corner of Liberty Park. We'll be putting together supplies for refugees and for homeless, and then distributing meals to homeless. So come and support us on that. And then we'll have a few more kindness days throughout the year, probably in Columbus, Washington, D.C., and maybe one other city. Maybe Lincoln, Nebraska, or some.
Let's see if we can gather more people each time.
Yes, snowball.
Get this big thing going.
Yes.
Let's commit to that, Ryan. We've talked about we want to do a weekly where you guys are at and what you're doing and how you're doing. Maybe check in because just to keep the momentum going. I know me and Ryan have talked about it. We just love what you're doing. We've been watching and we just need to highlight more of this stuff. So anyway, sorry, I'm harping. I keep harping on it.
You're fine.
It's a beautiful thing.
Honestly, we have so many stories. I sort of just want to dive in on some stories.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So One of the very first, I believe, so I've been thinking through, like, man, first of all, who's the biggest angel we've had on the road? I was thinking through that, and for the longest time, in my mind, it was Tammy D'Antonio. She, you know, she came into our life at the perfect moment. We had sort of come to this crossroads, this headway as a team, where James and I have a little bit of a different mission, a little different vision, and we're blending that together as we go. Right, where my thing is hiking coast to coast every single mile as a team, period. Like, you know, not skipping anything, right? And doing that for peace. As we do that, we develop greater inner peace, greater love. It's like a walking meditation, and we inspire other people to do the same. And that's what we're walking for. We're walking across America. James, as well as doing that, his thing is more highlighting the kindness of others as we come in contact with people, and sharing their stories, which is, I think, probably the more powerful aspect of this journey for a lot of people. Is just we're seeing these amazing things, and so as we're sort of arguing, we were sort of like, you know, butting heads a little bit going into Groveland, California, and it's just like our feet are covered in blisters. They're like popping along the way. There's just like sacks that are exploding in our shoes.
That's a nice picture.
it was gnarly.
Take us there. That's good. Yeah.
It was so pain. It was the day of pain. It was the day of pain and suffering. And so when we stayed at my cousin Shirley's house, which it was like a mansion. Shirley and Randy, thank you so much. They had us over. They put us up. I soaked
How'd you
my
find
feet
them?
in Epsom salt. My cousin, she. You know, she just saw what we were doing on social media, and she reached out. We're not super close, but you know, she's like, "Hey, we want to help." I think she sent a message to my mom, like, "Hey, when they're coming through Sonora, have them stop by. We want to put them up." So they made us homemade pie and, you know, a meal, and we you know, had a nice bed to stay in, a shower. And so the next day the plan was I would walk 12 miles, and then James would walk 12 miles, and so we did a relay kind of thing. So that way our feet could rest, and we get to the Groveland, and then hopefully get to our Yosemite reservation in time, because we were like pushing to get to Yosemite. Like, we got to get there. The reservation starts, and they're crazy about the reservation
because
process.
of COVID stuff. That it's hard.
Exactly. That was a headache, but we got through it. So we get into so halfway through. So I got 3 miles outside of my stopping point for the day. And James gets a ride up from Cliff.
I can share that
Kayla.
side if you want. So I'm walking through this canyon, and going downhill wasn't that bad. It was going uphill that was the problem. It was like 7 miles, you know, back and forth, switchback through this canyon. And I'm walking, and these guys are like driving past me. One of them is in like a dune buggy. He's like, "Hey, do you need a ride?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm walking across America." And they're like, "Oh, that's so awesome." So then I see them again. They pass me. And I'm like almost out of water and food, and I'm like, this is not fun. I need to just like take them up on this ride. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get a ride with you guys. So I jumped in the back, and they took me to Groveland. So we got dinner, and turns out that these guys were all ex-drug users, recovering addicts, you know, alcoholics, and they've just completely turned their lives around.
And a lot of veterans, right?
Yeah, veterans. And so for me, I thought, like, I'm so glad that I took this ride. I mean, you know, that day I didn't walk the full, you know, 7 miles or whatever it was, but I had this opportunity to connect with them and share our story. And we got fed, and then I went back and brought some food to Paul, and then that's where we met up.
Mm-hmm. So Cliff and Michaela, they're the ones that picked James up. They picked me up. It was the most awesome thing. We didn't know how we were going to figure this out, because we were trying to do it with Uber and Lyft, and there's like no Uber and Lyft in the middle of Sonora. Right? It's just like, it's a dead country zone. And so they pick up. They come to me, and I'm like, "Guys, I got 3 more miles. Like, if you can come to me like in an hour and a half, I'm down." And they're like, "Yeah, no problem, man. That's fine." So like, literally, I walk 3 more miles. They come up. They show up. James is in the car. I think James was sleeping at that point. Yeah. And they had fed him. They'd give him water. They took me to like this little cliff to like jump off into this river, and they like we just hung out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so James had walked 7 miles that day, and I'd walked the 12, and he had 5 more miles or so left on his trek but his feet were done, and he's like, dude, I'm done, man. So I'm like, so it was either they take us to Groveland and we stay in the motel, but we were going to start at Yosemite like really soon, or, excuse me, or I finish his leg for him and then meet up with him in Groveland. I was like, dude, let's just knock this out right now. So my feet are like killer pain, and my back's hurting, but I'm just like, dude, I'm just gonna knock it out. I don't care. I'm going for it. And so we to where James left off. They drop me off. I go 5 miles. So by the time I get into Groveland, it's the evening time. We'd had like a little powwow on a phone call, me and James and Katrina. But as I'm walking into town, I go into this grocery store. Right, James at that point had already camped up at a church, local LDS church, and he was out for the night. And I walk in, I get some water, and as I get some water and a sandwich, and I go out into the parking lot. And as I'm eating my sandwich, or before I even started eating my sandwich, I noticed that I was overcharged by like $5. And I'm like, I'm a stickler, So I go I go back in, and I'm like, hey, I noticed I got overcharged. Is it okay if we if we straighten that out? And she's like, oh yeah, sorry about that. And as she's about to give me the refund, I'm like, I'm just gonna get 3 more waters. Is that all right? She's like, that's fine. So I go into the fridge and I have my bag and I just put 3 waters straight into my bag, and there's people like watching me, fill my bags with water and from the fridge. So
this is a good story, right? You don't get beat
so
up.
He gets tackled when he leaves the.
No, so I go to Amber, the cashier, and I say, Amber, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I just wanted to show you the water. She's like, awesome, that's no problem. And there was a lady in line named Tammy, right? She's the owner of a hotel there in Groveland, California, All Seasons Inn. And so I get my sandwich, I go outside, start drinking the water, and Tammy comes out and she says, hey, Amber told me about what you're doing. Because Amber had asked, she saw the backpack. She's like, what's going on? What are you doing? I'm like, we're walking across America. So Tammy's like, Amber told me what you're doing. I think it's amazing. I saw how kind you were to her. I noticed you called her by name. She said, I live in a small town and no one calls her by name. Now, I don't see that kind of kindness. Like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, we're just walking across America, and we're walking for peace, acceptance, and kindness. And she says, well, I want to help you guys somehow. I own a hotel here in town. What can I do for you? And I'm like, well, Tammy.
The tent bed's getting a little hard.
Yeah. I mean, we could use a hotel room. And she said, I don't have a, she said, I don't have a clean hotel room, but I have an empty one. I said, we'll clean it for you. I said, well, and you know what? We'll even clean all the rooms in the hotel for you.
And the toilets.
And we'll clean.
James remembers that.
I said, we'll clean as many as you need us to. And she said, okay, yeah. And so she said something like, anyway, I'm like, well, my buddy's at the church. Like, could maybe drive me over there and pick him up. So she drives us to the church a mile away, picks up James. He's asleep already. We get all the stuff, throw it in the car. She has a dog, Rolf, super sweet, like wolf husky mix. And she takes us back to the hotel, and she just shares her life story with us. And she puts us up in her hotel for 9 straight days, free of charge.
Wow.
That literally got us through Yosemite, like with all of the different ways that the permits had worked. We'd had like a day that we could hike and then the day we could stop. And if it wasn't for that, like we were packing our food in bear cans. It was just almost impossible to just do it through hiking. Yeah. But then if we had to have done that, like she was an angel, really, really.
She fed us.
She fed us.
She took us out to dinner a couple times. Yeah. She made us breakfast.
She connected people with us in town.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
She had her daughter connect with us. We still have stuff with her. We left stuff with her because we had too much stuff in the vehicle. She's been one of the biggest trail angels. But honestly, the biggest trail angel for James and I realized has been Katrina. Because she hopped on this journey, honestly, like
no one asked her.
No one asked her to come. Yeah, two days after telling her, she was like, her job. She's like, I notified my job. I'm like ready to go. Let's get me on the insurance.
No, I did get asked, and I said no because you're crazy. And then 2 days later, I said, you know what? No, I could do it. But yeah.
Wait, who asked? Oh, I told her.
You did.
That's right. I was like, you can come if you want.
Right. Oh, I can come if.
Great. That sounds like torture. No, thank you.
I don't remember that. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good reminder. But she's been a huge angel for us. We couldn't. I mean, yeah. I don't know how we would have gone through Nevada without Katrina. So, absolutely.
So this is this is a hard thing. And I think the only way to get attention, especially in this world of so much noise and so much stuff going on, is to do a hard thing.
Yeah.
But do you think that you're growing as people yourselves because of it?
For sure. I feel like I've become a lot more patient with myself, with others, and even with God's timing. There have been multiple times, like, I'll share this experience. We were walking through the desert, and Paul was a little bit behind me. I think Katrina was coming from the city, stocking up on supplies, and I had run out of water. And we were about, 15, 20 miles away from the nearest place where we could fill up on water. So I was talking to my dad that day, and I asked, hey, could you pray that an angel will come and bring us water? And so after we got off the phone, I prayed and said, God, if you would magically fill up my bottles with water, I know you can do that, or send an angel, or just help me get through this. And then pretty much right after that, this guy comes up in a white truck and brings us a gallon of water. And then Paul meets up with us, and then you can share the story about the Ender family.
Yeah. So this guy in the truck, before he had even showed up, 4 hours earlier, he came, and his name is Chris. He came off the side of the road, and he said, hey, you boys need anything? And I'm like, I mean, he's like, you need any water? I'm like, sure. I'm not going to turn down water in the middle of the desert. We had gone, I think, 3 or 4 hours at that point, and we each of us, I had at least 4 liters, which is 120 ounces. James, I think, had about the same. And so about 2-3 hours later, the Ender family comes in their RV, and they had been in Tonopah. Their transmission had broken down. They're taking this road trip, and they were driving back down to Bishop, down south, Bishop, California. And so they pulled off, and they said, hey, we saw you guys as we were going to Tonopah the other day, and we saw you were walking together, and as we're going this way, we saw you were separated. We were wondering if everything is okay. We saw your friend sitting on the side of the road, and I was like, yeah, I mean, we're okay. We're doing good. And he's like, you have enough water? I'm like, I mean, I'll take a fill up if you guys have water. And so they filled up I had 2 bladders. They filled up both bladders. And then they're like, you want another bottle? I'm like, I think I'm okay. I'm like, oh, actually, no, I have a friend. Yeah, could I get another bottle? And so they filled up another bottle for me. They gave us some snacks. And they're like, wow, it's amazing what you're doing. Thank you so much. This is awesome. You're such an inspiration. And they're so cool. They had their 2 sons, Lucas and Isaiah. And they they that's such a cool knife, and they signed my staff, and very cool family. So I walk over to James. What's up, man? What's going on? We're out of water. Oh, sweet. So as I'm about to bring my bottle out, this guy Chris comes back, pulls off really quick, gets 2 gallons from his car, 2 full brand new gallons, puts them on the ground, and then he looks at us and he says, now boys, listen. Number 1, you're in the fucking desert. Number 2, you're in the motherfucking desert. You need to bring enough water. And number 3, and I was like, yes sir, yes sir. He's like, number 3, I'm gonna kick you in the nuts, and you're gonna feel it. I'm gonna kick him so hard if you keep calling me sir. and then he just went over all these stories of these people that he had seen on the side of the road eating from cow watering piles, what are they called?
Yeah. Water holes.
Water holes, yeah. And just with flies flying around, he's like, you guys need to bring enough water. Don't be stupid. You're in the desert. And I was like, And as I was about to say, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, because I had just gotten filled up, but he's right. You can't 120 ounces isn't enough. It's crazy because the American diet's 64 ounces, 8, but you gotta almost triple that when you're in the desert because you're just drinking so much for 8 hours.
Do you do salt pills or anything? Do you do potassium and stuff like that?
Yeah, we have little pellets that we get from the outdoor store, and we have Propel, and we have Gatorade. And, yeah.
But, you know, to tie all this in, you know, like I said before about patience is a big part of that has been learning to let go, right? Let go of everything. Like, you know, before coming out here, I had to let go of some material things. Like, I sold my car. I sold pretty much everything I had. I had a dog. I had to let go of the dog. But it's been letting go of ego, resentment, pride, all these different things. That's how I've been growing so far, and we're only in the beginning. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Walk for Peace has really made us take stock of ourselves. Like, are we internally peaceful? I think we're pretty good people. We can do this thing. And then it really grinds it out of you. Like, it squeezes you like a grape. Like, if you have that internal peace, you'll feel it. And if you don't, all of that, especially being in close quarters, you know, having 2 new roommates for the next 6 to 8 months, you know what I'm saying? And every waking minute I love it, but every waking minute we're around each other. And it's so awesome because you get to know these people on a level that is like really an honor to get to know people on that level, but you also see everyone's strengths and weaknesses come out. You see your own reflected back at you. So I think I'm just piggybacking off of what James said. Like, I think we're realizing that to be able to be 100%, to give positivity when we walk into a town, or to give positivity on the side of the road, we have to kind of be one with ourselves and one with each other. And we notice is when the group coheres, when we get along, things work out well for us. But when we're kind of struggling, when it's disjointed, things just in the universe don't work out as well.
Can I say something along the lines with that?
Go for it, yeah.
Another thing we've learned to do, you know, with letting go is letting people come in and serve, right? A lot of people, especially your listeners, are going through something right now. And we have to allow others to be there, right? Like, I'm so glad that Katrina's with us because it's allowed us to let go of physical things in our backpack so we can keep moving forward. Right? Yeah. So that's a lesson to learn in life, is that sometimes we have to let go and let others carry some of that burden. We don't have to carry it ourselves. So whether, you know, it's, you know, sickness or bullying or anything like that, we don't have to carry that burden by ourselves.
And sometimes to be a giver, you have to have somebody to receive it.
Yeah.
And if we're all spending all of our time giving, we forget that we also have to have receivers. We have to be open to saying, you know what, I'm okay with getting assistance from you. I'm okay with you know, I don't have to do it all because we are all on this planet together.
Yes.
Love it.
All right, so I got another story.
Oh, cool. Stories are the best.
Bring it.
So it was, I think, 5 or 6 days in. James and I had started in Clayton. Well, no, we actually had started in Concord, and we were walking through. We actually ended up probably 5-10 miles west of where we should have ended up. So we basically had gone to this back trail, and there was this part that said, "Do not enter, do not go through this."
Instant death. Hey, let's check this out.
Pretty much.
I just, for some reason, thought this is the right way to go. I don't know what I was thinking.
Danger. Danger, Will Robinson.
I have a good feeling about this one.
James and I, that was before we started using our compass. Because every moment up until that point, we'd been using Google Maps, right? And so my phone, I think it was dead at that point. And so James was doing the directing.
Sometimes the old stuff still works.
Yeah.
So he was using his Google Maps, but it was like reconnecting, you know, out in the middle of nowhere. And so we started going west when we're going east across the country, right? We started going basically due west.
Oh no!
Yeah. So we get to the wrong area. We get to the wrong spot. We wait for probably an hour. My buddy Michael comes 40 minutes from where he lives to pick us up. He had been doing that every single day. He had been, at the end of each day we hiked, he would pick us up where we left off. He would drive us to my mom's place. We stayed with her for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And then she would drive us to where we left off the next day in the morning.
Wow.
So we go from there. We get a burger and we just we go to sleep and then we start the next day. So the next day we go from Clayton to Brentwood. And so at this point I'm figuring Mike's going to be out of the picture. We haven't discussed him picking us up. We had discussed, all right, at this point we're going to take everything, take all our supplies from my mom's place and strike out and camp, right? So we go and we ended up crossing like a private property. We got harassed by coyotes along the way. We were freaked out because we're city boys. I'm like, I don't know about coyotes, so I got my staff. I'm like, I'm gonna crush a coyote's skull if I have to. I'm gonna handle a freaking coyote, dude. Like, and we're thinking there's snakes coming around. Like, we don't know what's going on. But we crossed on this private property. We didn't realize it was private, but it was the path we had to go. And we had our compasses at this point. We're like, we're going east. And we are hungry, right? We get to this road, this like dilapidated, abandoned road that has all this crazy chalk on it, chalk art.
Oh, I thought you meant like lines of dead where people were murdered.
Oh, there were
chalk lines.
There were chalk lines like that. It was just someone who came in and just did, graffiti art. But
You think?
That was
You're pretty sure.
I mean, but so we actually at one point we prayed that God would bring us sandwiches. Like, please God.
Real specific. I'm hungry and I want a sandwich.
Make sure it has
not bologna, not
Hold
pastrami, just anything.
Sandwiches. And so
even tuna.
I'm not even joking. 20 minutes later, and I thought Mike was out of it. I thought it was just because we had people like stop at the side of the road and just give us stuff at that point several times. So I was like, God, just give us some sandwiches. We don't have really good food to eat. Please help us out. So it's like 20 minutes later, Mike calls us. He's like, hey man, you guys hungry? And I was like, bro, you're listening to some spirit right now, because like, you just prayed. I was like, yeah man, just like, yeah, anything. We'll take whatever you got. So 30 minutes later he comes, he brings us both like stogie sandwiches, and he brings us Gatorades, and at this point we're an hour from where he lives. But he came and he hooked us up, and James and I just sort of plopped down. We were like 18 miles in, I think, at that point. We plopped down in front of someone's property and just camp out right in front of like an orchard and on the side of the road. And that was our first night camping.
Wow.
And it was just amazing, like that the sandwiches literally came like, and it was like, ding, the order was placed, and the sandwiches came.
So cool.
So I have another
awesome.
quick story on that. God has them on speed dial, or they have him or something. So they were like, I remember it was maybe like a week or two ago, and you guys were talking about, remember you said, oh, they were talking this food into existence, and then we literally went through Lund, and someone gave us the dinner that they had vocalized a week before. Like they had named like 5 things. What was it, James?
Yeah, it was like, we're going to get into this town, we're going to have corn, we're going to have steak, we're going to have like, all these things.
Because you're eating road food for weeks, right? And like you're not going hungry, but you're not, like you don't have the luxury of making stuff
granola
like that.
protein bars.
Just,
lots of protein.
we managed to cook a few things, but this family literally had us over and wasn't planned. They had, decided the day before, and literally like they had laid out every single thing that the guy was so special.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
They hooked
cool.
us up with steak, corn. They hooked us up with potatoes, meatloaf.
Yeah, thank you, Christy and Sean in Lund,
Yes.
Nevada. You guys are
Lund,
great.
Nevada.
Yeah.
And Ann, we
And
appreciate it.
Ann,
And Murray
what an
Morris.
angel.
Yeah.
Murray got us
Murray,
connected
right?
with all of them.
Tribe of Kings.
Right.
Yeah, Murray's cousin Ann lives in Lund, and Ann's son Sean hooked us up with Wi-Fi. They let us use their computer. They fed us a couple nights.
Yeah.
Really cool people.
Yeah.
Lund, Nevada is awesome.
Or when I was looking on your Facebook, you had a situation where you thought like Area 51 was coming to pick you up, some white trucks. What was that?
Yes.
What happened there? I was curious.
So we were walking in the morning, and sometimes when you're walking through the desert, your mind starts playing tricks on you. You get delusional. And previously, the previous day, we had seen entourage of like highway patrol escort this F-117, but I was like out of my mind. I'm like, is that a UFO? Like,
well, we saw them first coming towards us.
Yeah.
Going really fast with no lights on, and then all of a sudden they're going the other direction. They're heading east with lights flashing. There's 2 behind and 2 in front, escorting this F-117. Big fighter plane, I think.
So that was kind of cool. But so the next day, we're walking in the morning, and I see these 2 white trucks pass me, and then they flip around. And we're pretty used to people pulling over, but like these 2 white trucks flip around and pull off on the side of the road. And we've been told that if you walk down the wrong road in Nevada, like they'll like tell you to turn around and you'll just disappear. And so I thought this was it. This is how this is how Paul and I are going to go out. We're being taken to the compound, and I hope we have connection there because I want to do a Facebook Live, right? Like,
Area 51, this
Yeah,
is the
this is it.
spacecraft right here.
All you suckers that wanted to storm Area 51 last year, you guys failed. We got it. So
Wrong approach. Entirely wrong approach, you guys took.
so I'm like shaking a little bit, and these guys come out with water, like, "Hey, you guys all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And so we told them what we were doing is Steve and Juanis, and these guys they have their own transportation company, so they're coming from California out east, I think through Colorado, and they're transporting like I think boats and other things, and they heard what we were doing. These guys are ex-convicts. These guys both had served in prison, I think, for like 14 years, something like that. But
and both had really amazing stories.
Yeah.
You know, Juanis was protecting his neighborhood. Steve was protecting an abused woman, and they both got thrown into prison doing that. Wow. And I mean, really, just incredible men.
Yeah.
Steve said, as I was driving, I saw a string of light connected from you into me, and it just hit me and hit my gut, and like this feeling just came up, like I need to pull over for them. Juanis and him both had the same feeling. And they pulled over, and Juanis, I mean, you can go on our Facebook page. We went live with him, and he said, I have a message for you, brother. And I'm like, oh, all right. He's like, you are my identical twin brother.
my soul
And
brother.
I'm your identical twin brother. And the only thing that separates us is this pigment right here.
Yeah.
So
And
1%.
He's like a 57-year-old
1%.
black man.
He said
1%.
we are 99% the same. All of us. All of us are 99% the same. And we're all cut from the same cloth, all cut from the same blueprint. And he said, and it's important to realize you are my brother. And we are all family, you know. And he just went through this with me multiple times. And this guy, I mean, Katrina had gotten a ticket the day
my
before
gosh.
from
Yeah.
the local sheriff.
That was a rough moment.
I think Mr. Wade was his name.
Yeah.
Really nice old guy. Gave her a good old-fashioned $240 ticket.
Yeah. Thank you, Tonopah. Yes.
Tonopah,
We
God
left our
bless him.
mark. Yeah.
And I mean, Juanis is going to help her with the ticket. I think he's already paid it at this point. They hooked us up with water. They hooked us up with AC in our tent. They hooked us up with.
They put AC in your tent.
Literally.
Air conditioning in your tent.
They pulled
They
out
had
an air
like a-
conditioner from their truck and they
Yep.
jimmy rigged it into their tent, and
Yep.
they then stayed an extra day out of their way
Oh my
so that they could sleep with AC. I mean, these
Yeah.
guys were angels.
Wow.
They glowed when they pulled over at the side of the road.
Amazing.
They've changed our
These
lives.
salt of the earth.
Yes.
I mean,
Literally,
food,
yeah.
the wipes, body wipes, weapons. They gave her.
I got a flare gun. Yeah, I
and
got
they
What
gave her
else
a
did I
big
get?
ass,
Is that
huge
did
bear
you shoot that
mace.
off?
Bear
She
mace?
did.
Yeah, I
She
did.
got
Yes.
bear mace?
Yeah, they
Bear
gave me
mace.
I could
a
like
grizzly
spray a
bear.
whole forest with that. Yeah, not like I would, but yeah,
Yeah.
we did the flare guns.
Yeah,
we did
I
the
watched
maze.
that. I watched that.
They emptied out their cupboards. They gave us all the food that they had on them.
All the
they
food, everything. They,
has-
gave
yeah.
us. They gave us cash. They gave all of us cash, and then they paid for.
They
her
gave me a little
ticket.
extra. They gave me extra cash too. They
love
said,
her
you know,
more.
you're a woman here, you're a girl, and we know that you got to take care. They're so sweet. They have daughters, and they hooked
Yeah.
me up. One just went to town and got me chocolate milk. Thank you. That was just.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised those
And they
small
filled our
emotional
cooler with ice.
moments. Yeah, they were just amazing.
Sorry, the small
So-
emotional
Yeah, yeah,
moments.
yeah. No, that's what really helps. Like water, food, all of that helps 100%. And
Oh,
what
yeah.
was so sweet about the way they helped was they went beyond the staples. They said like, well, what do you need? Like they got in our head, like what would make you feel better? Like they got me pink razors and chocolate milk. You know what I'm saying? And like
Yeah.
being a girl on the road for 3 weeks, like I almost cried. Like it felt so good to have, just that thoughtful touch. And that was really, they're angel, they're angelings.
I did cry.
Yeah.
They made me cry.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
brought tears to my eyes. I mean, the thing is, I'm sure you have a lot of Utah listeners, a lot of LDS listeners, I'd imagine.
Mhm.
This Steve, to me, he comes across like a patriarch or some kind of like stake president. He has like this spiritual gift, and he looked at me and he's like, you know what? And he's like, I feel like God is wanting to tell me this and this and that, and like I was telling him all these stories from teaching and subbing, and he's like, that happened to you for this reason. And we had an hour-long conversation where I'm like, my goal, right, our mission statement is 17 miles a day, and so I'm like, gosh, we got to get going. But on the inside of my heart, I'm like, I need to just hear this message. I need to hear what they have to say. So they helped us in so many ways. They were literally angels
Yeah.
on the highway for us.
They were relentless. They just would not stop.
So then I wrote about this experience on Facebook, and I said, these guys are the salt of the earth. And then like the next day, they're driving through Salt Lake, and Juanis texted me and said, or Katrina, and said, we literally got stuck in the salt flats. So like,
and they were covered in salt.
yeah.
I was like, why? You guys don't deserve that. Like, you guys just helped us out. Like, why didn't God do you a solid and like not? But they said that Steve called. It was like 4:30 in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah, and he mentioned that. So we were all sleeping. Don't feel bad about this, Steve, but he woke me up. I was so happy to hear from them though. And he told me this story. He's like, yeah, we're in the salt flats and we were driving and we got stuck because they do this transport across the country company. And he's like, we were to the point where we were like digging ourselves out with our hands, like trying to get out of this mess, and like just nothing was happening.
To us a couple weeks prior. In
Patreon
marshes.
Secret Files, you'll see the story. We've also dug ourselves out of places with our hands, but yeah. So they had gotten stuck, and he said, we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no service. Juanis is trying to, like nothing is anywhere there. He's like, we're sitting, we're thinking, why is this happening? And he said, Steve told me his reasoning. He said it was so God could make sure that they knew that like, hey, y'all are great for helping, but I'm still great. Like, this is more about the project. This is more about me and the good that I do. So Steve took it as like a humbling moment, but I was like, hey, whatever it is, like, we think you're just as awesome as you totally are, right? And so, and so he said he had a feeling that he should call 911. He was like, there is no service out here. I just had this funny feeling on my phone, just dial 911. So he's like, I dialed, and it's ringing and ringing for about 15 minutes. And he's like, and then all of a sudden someone says hello, like the operator picks up. I was like, oh my gosh. And so they didn't get a word in, but they were able to track him by the location of their phone. They got pulled out. They got roadside assistance. Juanis didn't have it. This guy had it. The guy that gave him roadside was willing to like double up on the I mean, I'm giving vague generalities so no one gets in trouble, but they got a super sweet deal on their roadside assistance, and just God did them a solid. And so we're so glad to see that. And we've seen also, this is zero credit to us, but we've seen that the people that have helped us out have gotten, like, oftentimes it's the turnaround is so fast before we even leave town. Like, they have been blessed in some way. They're like, this is the busiest day my store has ever had. This is the most business I've had. Like, after I gave these guys water, like, my store was flooded with customers. Or like, people that help are just totally blessed in return for what they do, and that's huge.
We had a couple people that donated items to us, everything life-saving. And Mindy Martin, they donated backpacks to us, tents, camping bags, sleeping bags, all this stuff. She gave us all these supplies for really super cheap. And then she said, the next week I had, and she was working on a railroad, the next week she had 2 job offers they had like headhunted her from hospitals. And she's like, she has a nursing background. And so she had 2 really amazing job offers that she was able to like leverage to get the best
She'd been out of work for about a year, I think, wasn't it?
She hadn't been out of work. She'd been working at a railroad.
There you go.
A different girl, though, donated to us, who had been out of work for like...
There we go.
That's April. She'd been out of work for 6 to 8 months. And the next day or like the next week after she donated to what we were doing, boom, she had a job offer from a hospital.
She donated way too much. She was so generous. We were all blown away by what she did. So I don't think it's anything like, oh, if you give money to us, like what happens to you? It's if you help anyone in general, you get it back.
Absolutely. Reciprocity or karma.
Yay.
That's it.
Or the spirit of the universe, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So what's next for you guys? So what's the trip look like from here on out? I'm just, just sounds. You've got so many amazing stories, and you're right, kind of at the beginning still, aren't you?
Yeah, we just finished a sixth of the mileage, right? We finished 530 miles as of Lund. So we still have, so we're a sixth of the way through mileage-wise. We are, number of days-wise, though, we're over a quarter of the way, right? As long as we stick to the 17 miles a day, we're over a quarter of the way. So honestly, we have no, I would imagine just miracles after miracles are coming our way.
Absolutely. That's why we want to talk to you every week if we can.
Yeah,
awesome. we want to just touch in and touch base.
Totally.
Just to know what you're doing. So shoes, what are you doing? You guys, and how are feet gonna hang out? Do you guys have a game plan? Do you have that waxy stuff that you put on your feet? Whatever that's. Yeah, that stuff for. I mean, you got some. Do you need some $500 shoes that will help you somehow not get blisters?
Funny question.
You know, I made the mistake of getting these running shoes because we were told to get these certain shoes. What was the brand?
Ultras.
And they were okay for the first, week or two.
But you took a brand new pair of shoes?
Well, I wore it into. I used them for a few days before, kind of get them worn in. But when we got
and then you walked 500 miles.
Yes, they really wore them in. They wore him in.
Not quite.
But when we got to we went to Bishop, California. I ended up getting some Merrells with Vibram. And they've been awesome, honestly. So they were the best.
With
so if you guys
what in them?
It's called Vibram.
Vibram.
Get Vibram.
Yeah.
If you're doing pavement, get Vibram. So our friend had told us to get Ultras, but she's a
cross country
trail hiker. Trail hiking, it's a lot of dirt and rocks and things like that. Ultras are great for that.
Yeah.
But pavement just melts the crap out of typical soles of shoes. So I had a $150 pair of shoes. He had a $130 pair of shoes. Both melted within 2.5 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the
Just
kind
don't
of thing
think
where
about
they're-
stuff like that.
I would have just totally worn down on the
Their
bottom.
feet were awful. It's like something medical. Like I literally balked. Like they were like dirt and rocks inside of their blisters in their feet. I don't know
My
how
feet
that
were
even
bruising.
happens. Yeah.
Skin peeling off.
So what do you guys? How are you gonna?
So
How are you gonna fix that?
Here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
I have some Adidas Terex that I've been sort of splitting the time with my. I had some Topos with Vibram. The Topos with Vibram have already melted as well. So his Merrells of Vibram, I think, are still holding up really well. But so I'm just gonna get some more Terex, and I'm gonna switch those with I have a pair of Brooks. And so I'm gonna
You
switch
should
those
get
with
a
my Brooks.
sponsor. The kid.
If anything, this is a great time to test out all these.
Absolutely,
Seriously.
gosh!
If
Oh
we
my
can get
gosh!
Keen or Merrill to sponsor us, we would love that.
Yeah.
Because those are the shoes to get.
We'll put
Some
your
up
shoes
and
to a
coming
test.
shoe company that wants to pass the test.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
At this point, Terex at the Costco, like $35 pair of shoes, those have been the best.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's
for me at least, but for him, the Merrells.
very.
I've never heard any of these brands, but that's all right.
That's-
If they're working, they're working.
That's so cool.
I haven't had as many blisters either recently because of them.
Also,
So do you guys
hiking
think your feet are getting used to it? You think?
I think so.
You're just gonna.
Yeah. And, I mean, your feet tend to sweat regardless of the temperature, but I think it'll be a lot better in September, October when it's it's not as hot.
Oh,
When it's
and something
blizzard?
else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Blizzard.
We talked to what's her name over at the adventure place, Elizabeth.
Yeah,
at the
Echo Adventure Co-op in Groveland.
Yeah. So she told us. So we had been told this before, but we didn't get the specific details. We were told to get thin nylon socks, and then wear a thick pair of wool socks on the outside. Right, and so she had done that. She had walked a full 2,000 miles doing that, and she never got blisters. Right, and so so we started doing that from that point forward. We had wool socks, but we weren't using the thin nylon socks. I guess Violet maybe had mentioned that.
We have our audience member going, I told you the whole time. Yeah, should have listened.
But
Bye.
it's different when it's coming from someone who's walked thousands of miles and she's never had blisters. You know what I mean?
So you guys have been doing that, and so far so good.
That really helped. That helped a lot.
Wouldn't wool socks make it sweat more?
Wool socks they're anti-wicking, so they're supposed to help reduce the sweat.
Oh.
Interesting.
That
Oh my
makes
gosh, this stuff you just don't think about.
Right.
So
yeah.
what's the game plan for Walk of Peace? Are you promoting somewhere? We need to get you PR. We need to get you out there. We need to get people knowing what's going on so we can have more, just more.
That's the game.
We have
What's
a
the
cool
name?
guy working on PR, Hosea at
Yes.
Hosea. Shout out.
Yes.
He's going to help us
Hosea
out.
He's been awesome.
Yep. Zay's
So
awesome.
between Katrina, Hosea, and myself, we've been working on the social media. So you can follow us at Walk for Peace 2020. That's our handle on Instagram, Facebook.
Walkforpeace2020.com is there a
.org.
.website?
.org.
There is a there is a website.
Indeed.
.org.
Yeah.
.org.
Walkforpeace2020.org. Walkforpeace2020.org.
Thank you.
They have a GoFundMe as well.
I
We
do,
do, and
yeah.
Patreon and Venmo.
Yeah.
And they can find all of that out
on our
at
website.
walkforpeace2020.org.
That's it.
Yes. FOR Peace, yeah.
So when you get to
FOR.
Washington, what's the...
Oh,
what's the-
FOR.
FOR, yeah.
Not a number 4.
Not a number.
Got it.
Right.
That's only us.
Yeah, that's only us. That have the number 4.
So the plan in Washington D.C. So I served as a missionary there for my church about 10 years ago, and so I have a lot of contacts out there. The idea is I'd like to gather as many people as possible. Maybe do a walk from one side of D.C. to maybe the Capitol building.
I want to join.
You guys should fly out
Yeah,
there.
We gotta be there and
Please
do
come
a
on
road
down.
trip.
Yeah.
This for good road trip.
Let's do it.
Oh.
What if you guys had like a van and you're like following and we'd like have
We all start running
Okay.
like Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Smile shirts.
run,
There
walk
we
for
go.
peace, run.
Walk for
With
Peace
the-
2020 with a smiley face.
With the ad. Ooh, I
With a
like
headband.
that. Uh-huh.
Let's do it. I don't know.
So yeah,
Oh, we got to. We got.
Yes.
So when do you guys think you're gonna? What's the plan to end up there? What month?
Inauguration.
yeah.
Oh,
right,
really?
yeah.
November?
We're
January, December, January, probably January.
January at this point, January 18th is the soonest we'll get there. Doing 17 miles a day. If we knock it down to like 14 or 15, then we'll get there by I believe middle of February. So somewhere between middle of January, middle of February is when we're.
Wow. Well, we gotta keep in touch, guys. We
You know,
gotta
and here's the thing. You know, this walk didn't start in D.C. It's not going to end in D.C. So we're going to continue. I don't know how it's going to work out. We'll figure that when we get there. But
On into
we want to
Lebanon.
continue to. Yeah.
What
Walk
do you-
to Lebanon.
Lebanon? Oh wow! That. How do you
don't know
walk
about-
over the water?
We're gonna
Jesus
figure
did
out.
it. So.
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah, that's
swim.
right. I mean,
We
yeah.
have lots of
Swim
That
for
will be
peace.
impressive. I'm just gonna say, if you guys.
boat for peace.
Yeah.
Skidoo
So
for peace.
we just want to, continue to
Yeah, for
spread
peace.
this message
Yes.
in our own way. So
I think
we'll-
it's.
That's so cool.
I think it's so needed more than ever right now. More than
Thank
ever.
you. Yeah, it totally is. Totally is. And honestly, these miracles aren't just coming by chance. Something we all believe very strongly is in prayer. And every single day, we're praying for miracles. And I swear to you, almost every single day, miracles are happening.
Love it.
That's a big part.
It's almost frustrating the amount at which it happens because I got out. I'm like, we're supposed to be doing the good, and every day, like it's like this debt that we can never pay back. Like we've been given so much good every single day. I'm like, I feel like it's overwhelming, and we try to do whatever good we can, but we definitely, like it or not, we've been the recipients of way more good than we've done.
Totally.
And you know what? We are not special. Every
No.
person that's listening to this can experience miracles.
Totally.
Absolutely.
100%.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show, for being on the third time, and just for what you guys are doing and believing in your hearts, and just thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
for having us. We really
You bet.
appreciate it. It's
Ryan?
I echo thank you because I watch you guys for a reason.
awesome.
Because so much stuff out there right now is so negative. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Amen. Appreciate you guys. Much love.
You gonna take us out, Ryan?
You bet. We always
Okay.
end the show with the hashtag Be Good Do Good. We say it louder on the third time.
Louder
We've
and
got all
louder
these people
and
in
louder.
here.
This is
Pretty
gonna
sure
be a
we're-
loud one. I can
All
already
right,
tell.
all
This is
right.
gonna be a loud one. Let's
All right.
do this,
Here we
Ryan.
go. Hashtag
Be good, do good.
Hashtag
Be good, do good. Hashtag Be good, do good.
Good.
Oh, yeah. That was a good. That might be the best one we've ever had, to be honest.
And that's a wrap.
Sweet.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.